You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities, Monday, February 9th, the day after the Super Bowl Monday. I think a lot of people, if you're at work right now, wishes they weren't at work. I believe it should be a national holiday. Everybody should have the day off. But if you're at work, if you're grinding through your Monday, thank you for doing with us. We appreciate that. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you for that. Getting close to 1,500 subscribers. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching the show and you haven't subscribed, please do so ASAP. We appreciate that. If you have, thank you for doing that. Tell a friend or 2 or 10 about what we're doing each and every weekday right here at 10 a.m. We're also live on X. X has been very good to us. We love the feedback from X. We got some great poll questions coming your way today. So jump on X and weigh in that way. If you're on YouTube, there's a great chat that's always going. Jump on there, give us our feedback, or your feedback, I should say, questions for guests, all those kind of things. Do that as well. You can check out the show on all of the podcasting platforms that there are. So Spotify, Apple, Podbean, iHeart. I'm missing some of them. Anywhere you get your podcast, just go in there and put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, and you can listen to the show each and every day, which I always say is much better than looking at me for an hour and a half to 2 hours every single day. I'm excited about today's show. As we mentioned, the Super Bowl is in the books. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about maybe what's to come in the NFL, which is crazy as well. We got a great lineup of guests coming up in a matter of moments. We'll talk with Tyler Tachman from the Des Moines Register about the red hot Iowa men's basketball team. They won 6 straight games. They haven't done that in a decade. They're at 18 victories. That's more than last year already, and it's February 9th. And they're one of the hottest teams in the Big Ten. They beat Northwestern yesterday. Tyler Tachman does a great job covering Iowa athletics and the men's basketball program. So we will pick his brain on all of that and then some coming up in just a few moments. Also later in hour number 1, it's Monday, and he wasn't on with us last week, and I had some complaints, and I understand. You want to start your Monday with Pat Anger on your TV screen or however you're watching this. Pat is back with opinions. It was funny because I texted him yesterday and I was like, hey, you can come on tomorrow, right? And he's like, sure, what are we going to talk about? And I said, I don't know. And I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go, which is always fun with Pat. We'll get his Super Bowl thoughts and all those kind of things coming up in a little bit. Maybe his halftime Super Bowl thoughts. We don't get too controversial, but thoughts about that as well. And then later on in hour number 2, it's a Marxy Monday. John Marx will join me. Roger Craig's going to the Hall of Fame. We celebrated the legacy of Jim Albracht this past weekend with the Celebration of Life. Illinois basketball lost for the first time since December. A lot to get to with him as well throughout the show. Headlines on a Monday. Obviously, the Super Bowl is done. The Seahawks are your Super Bowl champions. It wasn't too close. 29-13 your final. Kenneth Walker, your MVP, although he didn't score a touchdown. 5 field goals, a defensive touchdown, and a receiving touchdown by their tight end, Darner, was it. Sam Darnold threw the touchdown pass. The defense was dominant. And Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion. And it's crazy because you look at that draft class with Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, MVPs are in there, and it's Sam Darnold winning the first one. If you're a Viking fan this morning, and trust me, I'm a Lions fan, so I get frustrations, but you let that guy walk out, and you look at that team this year winning 9 games with not very good quarterback play, and winning 14 last year. Anyways, I digress. New odds for the Super Bowl next year. The Seahawks are the favorites again with the Rams at plus 950. Bills plus 1,100. Eagles plus 1,300. Patriots plus 1,300. And then the Lions and Packers are next at plus 1,400. The Bears are 8 teams behind that, but they're plus 2,500, which isn't terrible. Here's the thing: is if I told you last year, the day after the Super Bowl, that the Seahawks and the Patriots were going to be playing for the Super Bowl championship the next year, the numbers would have been crazy. So that's what the NFL does. They do a great job of leveling things out, parity and all those kind of things. So just fascinating to look at the numbers already for next season as well. College basketball this weekend. We mentioned Illinois lost for the first time in a while. They get Wisconsin and they get Indiana at home the next 2 games. One's Tuesday, one's Sunday, I believe. We'll talk about the Illini later in the show. And the Iowa men, we talked about it at the start, but they win once again. It wasn't beautiful. It wasn't pretty. They won 76-70 over Northwestern. Bennett Sturts continues to be outstanding. In fact, 36 points, a new career high. Here's Bennett after the game with the media talking about that new career high. And then Tavian Banks as well, talking about what Bennett meant to that team yesterday. Take a listen.
I actually did know. There wasn't like a scoreboard with the points at Oregon, so I had no clue. And my dad let me know because his career high was 34. And he let me know I didn't beat it. So I'm going to let him know after this press conference that I'm going to give it to him.
What's the message going to be?
Take that. Beat your career high. I'll give him some crap. No, I didn't feel that at all. The offenses, we were kind of lull and a little asleep, and I knew that I needed to get going late in the first half. And it wasn't just me out there. T played great, Alvaro. It's a team game, and they were there for me.
I just be like, let him do his thing, you know. I just sometimes if he try to get double teamed, if they try to double team, I try to help him out, and he just throws it to me. I just throw it right back to him. He's on fire. I'll let him do his thing.
Right back at you.
Mm-hmm.
Bennett Sturtz, 36 points. The poll question up right now on X for OTA today, a couple of them. But the first one is simple. Should the Super Bowl, day after the Super Bowl, be a national holiday, yes or no? Weigh in. I have a feeling everybody's going to say yes, but it's a fun one. The other one is I want to start talking about Bennett Sturtz as the Big Ten Player of the Year. And I know there's a lot of different opinions around, and there's a lot of great players in the league. But when you localize it here, I think Keaton Wagler has a great case for it. I think Bennett Sturtz has a case for it. Who's got the better case to be Big Ten Player of the Year right now here on February 9th? Bennett Sturtz at Iowa, Keaton Wagler at Illinois. So go weigh in there. Give us your comments on that, what you think the correct answer is, and we'll kind of talk about that throughout the show and let you know tomorrow which one would be the Big Ten Player of the Year. I don't know if either would, because there's a bunch of great players, but I know one of the best beat writers in the business is this young man. Tyler Tachman joins us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. How are you, my friend? Did you get to enjoy the Super Bowl? I know you're a hardworking media member at Carver Hawkeye. How did you watch the Super Bowl?
I think it would be an exaggeration to say I half watched it, because the Iowa game started at 2, so I was kind of working after the game, and I wasn't paying full attention to it at all. So I didn't really get to enjoy the Super Bowl, but it didn't sound like there was a whole lot to really enjoy, I guess, unless you're a Seahawks fan. But also Mason Richmond, former Iowa Hawkeye offensive lineman, gets a Super Bowl ring with the Seahawks. This is the second year in a row now that Iowa rookie has won a Super Bowl after Cooper DeJean did it last year. And you know, congrats to Mason. He was kind of he helped the rebuild of that position group under George Barnett and getting that unit back to the program standard. He wasn't part of the Joe Moore award-winning unit from this past season, but he helped build the foundation for it, certainly.
You mentioned it, Tyler. There's a Super Bowl champion from Iowa. It was you didn't miss much. If you like unders and stuff like that, you missed a little bit, but it wasn't the best of Super Bowls, but it's in the books. You were busy working. I know you listened and you kind of heard what we were talking about earlier. The poll question of the day for us is Big Ten Player of the Year. Who has got a better case? We'll leave Keaton Wagler out of it and just talk. Am I crazy to start talking about Bennett Sturtz in that category of the best player in the Big Ten? 36 points yesterday. I think he's averaging almost 30 a game like last 3 or 4. You saw him firsthand yesterday, Carver. Am I nuts to start even thinking about that conversation?
No, I mean, I think he deserves to be in the conversation. I wouldn't him to win it at this point, but the way that he's been playing at an All-American level, All-Big Ten level. The problem is that there's just so many good players and so many good teams in the Big Ten that that's a really difficult award to win. But I think also what makes it impressive is that when you look at maybe compared to a Keaton Wagler, the supporting casts are very different. So there's much more on Bennett Sturtz's shoulders than a Keaton Wagler, and that I don't know if that that's not necessarily going to factor into how that award is decided. But again, I absolutely, the way he's been playing, he deserves to be in that first team All Big Ten conversation. Would he win Big Ten Player of the Year at this point? It would probably take Iowa going on some crazy run these last few games and ending up second or third in the Big Ten or something like that. But he's been playing at an incredibly high level.
You've been with the team forever. I mean, you went out west, you went northwest and all that kind of stuff. And yesterday wasn't like, hey, you're not going to circle this one and be like, hey, they beat a bad Northwestern team by 6 points on Super Bowl Sunday. What was it about? Yes, I wasn't worried about the game, but it's a sleepy, tough game because you went and did what you're supposed to do out west, and then you came back home. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and it's a team that just lost by 40 to Illinois. I wasn't surprised by the slower start. What were your thoughts on the way they came out? It wasn't the most impressive victory of the world, but a win's a win in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, no, well, I'll give you, so you're wondering how I was gone on this 6-game winning streak. These are a few important keys in my eyes, and then I'll kind of fold in, your question here at the very end is, well, one, they're growing. Like you think about where they've come since their first loss of the season, since they lost to Michigan State, and how much better they've gotten since then. I think I would love to see Iowa have another crack at Michigan State, because I feel like it would be a much better game than it was in East Lansing, where they got beaten pretty bad. The second thing is that they're winning on the road. They didn't win a true road game until January, but since then they've won 3 in a row on the road. They went to Indiana, and then they did the Pacific Northwest trip, beating Oregon and Washington back to back. And then this goes into your question here, is that they're winning ugly. They're winning when they're not at their best. In this 6-game winning streak, they've beat Rutgers, USC, and now Northwestern, and all kind of, it's been kind of clunky, grimy, not very pretty fashion. But in year one under Ben McCollum, like, I was expecting there to be more growing pains in terms of, like, if Iowa isn't playing well, like, they might not win. I think it's impressive that they've been able to win these games when they aren't playing their best. Like, it's clear Iowa did not have their best stuff against Northwestern, and the fact that they're still able to win games in the Big Ten when they're doing so, I think is pretty remarkable, given kind of where the program is at this point under Ben McCollum. And even, the Rutgers game, similar deal. Iowa didn't play very well, still ended up finding a way to win that one. Same thing against USC. Just a horrible first half and a horrible start to the game, and they ended up recovering, and then they almost blow it at the end of the game and find a way to win. So those to me are, you ask how has Iowa gone on this 6-game winning streak? Those to me are some of the real keys.
Tyler, you almost look at it now that you mention it. Are they playing better away from Carver Hawkeye Arena than they are at home right now?
Yeah, maybe a little. I wonder if there's almost like a greater sense of urgency when you're on the road, because that the margin for error is less, right? Like, you have to, you have to play well on the road at Indiana to win, that you can't get away with the type of stuff that mistakes that you make at Carver. So, right now, I think it's fair to say they are probably playing better away, which is weird, because it took them till January to get their first true road win of the season. But, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because you kind of have the crowd behind you at home, and they can help will you a little bit. But the fact that they've been able to go on the road and win these types of games has obviously been a really nice development.
Tyler Tachman joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Tyler, they've won 18 games. I am not an anti-Fran guy. I liked Fran McCaffrey. I was appreciative of everything he did in the program. But it's crazy that in a day and age of college basketball, where when you have a coaching change, everybody leaves and jumps ship almost, that this team already has more victories than last year's Iowa team. 18-5 right now, 8-4 in the Big Ten. What does it say about this team? Obviously, they played a lot of them together at Drake, so that helps a lot. But did you expect by February 9th that Iowa would already have more victories than they did a year ago?
No, they've exceeded my expectations, and I think that's you looked at what Ben McCollum was able to do at Drake last season, coming from Northwest Missouri State, the way that in year one, he was able to have so much success. And I don't know if that created necessarily a blueprint, but it's something that you could look back on as he knew how to make the jump in levels and still win, bring guys with him, bring staff with him. But I was skeptical. I was probably you're optimistic about the future of the program, but I wasn't sure that it was going to happen this fast, because there's so many more hurdles that come into play when you're going from the mid-major level to the Big Ten level than from the Division II level to the mid-major level. When you talk about NIL, the level of competition, the coaching, all of those factors make that transition feel much more difficult. And the fact that it hasn't been exactly replicated, but like Ben McCollum is doing it again. Like Bennett Sturts is doing it again. They've been able to make that jump up in levels. And I think it's just, the incredible thing is how like easy they've made it look. And I know that it hasn't been easy for them because there's a lot of work and preparation that goes behind that. But like from a fan's perspective, from someone just watching it, like they've made this look super easy. Like you look at even Buzz Williams, who Iowa plays at Maryland next, but he's in his first season at Maryland. He was coming from another power conference program in Texas A&M, and they have totally bottomed out. They've struggled mightily. Of the new coaches in the Big Ten this season, Iowa has had the best season so far. So, I mean, I think given the circumstances, and like this is still year one, Ben McCollum he hasn't had years and years to build the roster that he wants yet. This was kind of I don't know if you want to call it a skeleton crew, but he had to piece this together pretty quickly in terms of his staff and his roster. He didn't have endless resources. So it's been, it's definitely exceeded my expectations how quickly this has come together.
You look at the standings of the Big Ten. Michigan, you expect them to be there. Illinois, you expect them to be there. Michigan State, Purdue, you expect them to be good. Nebraska with Fred Hoiberg, that's probably your coach of the year. But if Fred doesn't exist, is Ben McCollum the coach of the year in the Big Ten? I'm trying to give awards away in February, Tyler, is my thing. But I guess when you rationally look at it, Fred Hoiberg's got to be the front runner. But Ben makes a pretty good case, doesn't he?
I think, Dusty May is definitely in that conversation as well. But, the way I was trending, and a lot of this will be determined by this last month of the season. If I was, beats Purdue and beats Nebraska twice and ends up a 4-3 seed in the NCAA tournament, then I think Ben McCollum most definitely deserves to be in that conversation. He's trending that way, but and then in a similar vein to the way that Ben McCollum has made that jump, it's going back to Bennett Sturts, like he has made it look incredibly easy because he's actually after his career high against Northwestern, now he's averaging more points than he did at Drake last season. He's shooting better from the field, shooting better from three, and is shooting better from the free throw line, which is like, and with all due respect to the Missouri Valley Conference, like the Big Ten is just a different beast. And the guys that he's facing in a night in and night out basis are not what he was facing last season. He's actually gotten better, which that's not always the case. Like you see guys try to make that jump and, maybe the points are down and maybe more commonly even is that the efficiency is down. You see their field goal percentage plummet and the 3-point percentage go down. And Bennett Sturts he's made it look remarkably easy. And he's also, the efficiency is like staggering. He went 12 of 15 from the field against Oregon. And it's like, that would be a great day for a 7-footer who's getting most of his looks around the rim. Bennett Sturts is a guard who is displaying a high level of shot making. And then he goes 12 of 20 from the field against Northwestern. So he's just so efficient. It's kind of been crazy to watch.
Tyler Tachman joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned they've exceeded your expectations so far when it comes to Big Ten play. You get to what, and my question was, were they an NCAA tournament team coming in? I thought they could probably be an NCAA tournament team. And then last week, I think it was Friday, Thursday, Nicholas and Kakert were on the show talking about an Iowa victory out west. And I asked him, like, what's the new, and that Sweet 16 phrase starts popping in, and you get fans are excited. And hey, I'll tell you this too, Tyler, and you know it. It gets difficult. Like Maryland is a winnable game, but then you're starting to talk about the Purdue's and at Wisconsin's and Nebraska twice and Michigan, and it gets difficult. But what's your new expectations? Is there a new ceiling for this team? Like what now? It's February 9th. I'll let you do a redo. I will too. What's your expectation now for what this team could do? Is it a Sweet 16 for the first time in forever? I don't think you were born. Tyler, were you? You probably were. We're going to try this. Were you born in 99?
I was not alive yet. 2001. I'm sorry.
For the first time in your lifetime, can Iowa get to a Sweet 16?
Yeah, I want to be careful with what I say here, but to me, the ceiling is the Sweet 16 because Drake almost got there last season. They were one game away from getting to the Sweet 16, and I think that's a possibility at this point for Iowa. In terms of like this next stretch, Iowa they were in a 7-game stretch. This Maryland game is the last one in that where the schedule eased up, and I was like, can Iowa go maybe 5-2, 6-1 during this more manageable stretch? And they're at 6-0 right now, and they could go 7-0 against Maryland. When the schedule ramps up, and it starts with Purdue on Saturday in what'll be a massive home game, I think it's going to get more difficult. But what I also see is a lot of opportunity for Iowa because they've racked up a lot of wins. They don't have that. Ben McCollum doesn't have that signature win yet. They don't have that one that you point at like that's the one that's going to be the kind of crown jewel on your resume. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for that. Nebraska twice. You get Purdue. You home against Michigan. There's a lot of opportunities out there for Iowa to add some more substance to their resume and continue to build that upward momentum of like making people in the fan base believe in the program. Because I think that might be as important as what Iowa's record has been, is like there's just a belief around the program now of like what this can be. There's a belief that they can get to a Sweet 16. There's a belief that they can win big games, and there's a belief in Ben McCollum. So I think Iowa's ready for this stretch. If they can beat Maryland, they've been battle tested. You think about the road environments they've played in. In December alone, they played at Iowa State and at Michigan State. In January, they played at Purdue and at Indiana. I think they're as ready as they will be for the Purdue at home and the Michigan. And I feel like, and they're getting better. They're growing. They're battle tested. I think it's not going to be an easy stretch, but I think they're just about as ready as they could be for this.
Tyler, and the other thing with it too is it's hard to say, are they a Sweet 16? Matchups are huge. Seeds are huge. I get that. So it's February, but it's crazy to think about. It's crazy to think that you weren't even alive yet. It's shame on you, Iowa, and then good for you for being young. And so let's talk real quick about what's to come this week. It's Maryland on Wednesday. And you mentioned it's kind of the same thing when you go to an Oregon team. I remember everybody's like, Iowa's going to, and the line showed it, like Iowa's going to kill this Oregon team, and they played well, but it's still Oregon at Oregon. You know what I mean? It's a hard place. Like most years you look at Oregon on the road and you're like, that's a tough game. Maryland's still Maryland. Is that Maryland? I know they're not the same Maryland team. How important does Iowa how important is it that they've got to focus, because road life in the Big Ten, regardless of records, is tough. And there is that Purdue game we're going to talk about in a second that everybody's already talking about. They got to take care of business first in Maryland, don't they?
And Maryland just went on the road and beat Minnesota. So they're coming off a pretty big win. And the last time that Iowa this season went on the road before a huge home game was Minnesota before Illinois. And Iowa lost the game against Minnesota. That was the one game this season where Iowa was favored in and lost. That's the only game that you kind of look at and like scratch your head a little bit of like, man, Iowa probably should have won that game. And now you're in a similar situation now where you're going on the road against a Maryland team that on paper Iowa should very clearly be better than. They've already beaten them once this season at Carver Hawkeye Arena back in December. But you have that Purdue game looming in what would be it's the first sellout of the Ben McCollum era. That atmosphere you think would just be crazy on a Saturday against a really high level program. But to me, the Maryland game is kind of like it's got to be a mental battle for Iowa to they're the better team, but can they show they're the better team? And it was similar to the Northwestern game. Like, that's one where on paper Iowa should win that game by double digits. They only win by 6. So it's, can Iowa avoid a letdown? Can they avoid maybe the mental traps of a game like that, and show the perseverance and mental strength to win that game when they're expected to win by a good portion?
Tyler, before I let you go, you mentioned Purdue, and that, how big of an opportunity is that? And I feel like that one, on the court wise, and you talk about net and Ken Pom and all that kind of stuff, super important. Quad win, 1 win, signature wins. It's also an opportunity to get students to get into Carver Hawkeye Arena and have a signature moment for them, I guess, and you look at down the stretch, you get Michigan at Carver Hawkeye, you get Nebraska at Carver Hawkeye. I'm missing one along the way that they get back at home, I'm sure. If you can give a great performance against Purdue, you can sell that place out the rest of the year, right? It's talk to me about not just on the court, but like the opportunity they have marketing wise, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, but that's a big part of, you think back to Ben McCollum's introductory press conference when he was hired at Iowa, and one of the things he talked about was getting Carver full again. And that's been an important storyline, in the back end of the Fran McCaffrey era, of just the lack of fan engagement and just seeming to be like a disconnect between the program and the fan base. And Ben McCollum has worked his tail off to try to revitalize that. He was out before kickoff of the first Iowa football game this past season in the student section, talking to people, taking photos. He's been at events. He's been very outgoing in trying to rebuild that connection with the fan base. And it's been reciprocated in some sense. There's still a ways to go in terms of getting the attendance back up to where it should be for a team that's 18-5, but that's just the nature of it. It's going to take time. But one of the things, I was at a PCA meeting. This was before the season started, and one of the things Ben McCollum talked about was like wanting to give people experiences, like wanting to give students like great experiences. And the Purdue game is like an opportunity to do that. The Michigan game, Nebraska game, where like, if you're able to knock off a team like that, storm the court, those are the types of memories and experiences that bring people back to the program, right? Yeah. Like that make people want to be a part of it. Because I think that's kind of what was lacking the last few seasons, that there just was not that sense of like, I want to be a part of this program. Like, this is something that I want to be a part of. And that's come back with Ben McCollum. You watch them, the style that they play, the energy that Ben McCollum exudes. It's something like you feel like there's a desire to be a part of that, and to be able to deliver that type of win on that type of stage at home. That's the type of thing that continues to bring people back.
Absolutely the case. Tyler Tachman. Tyler, what was better, Washington, Oregon? Did you get to do anything non-work related while you're out in the Northwest?
Well, so I'll give you a little story here. So I flew from Chicago to the Pacific Northwest. My flight in Chicago got delayed about 5 hours. Ended up getting canceled at about 9 p.m. So I had to stay overnight in Chicago, and I was getting a little worried that I wasn't going to make it to Oregon. Ended up getting on a flight the morning of, flew into Portland, drove about 2 hours from Portland to Eugene, got there about 2 hours before tip off, made it in time. Then, so that was a whole deal within itself. But anyway, then my uncle lives in Portland, so I drove back there, stayed there for a couple of days. I literally took a train from Portland to Seattle. So on this trip, I was on planes, I was on a train, and I drove rental car. The only thing I wasn't on was a boat, and I'm glad that I managed to avoid that, I guess, which I'm glad about. But anyway, it was fun. It was stressful at times to get out there because I wanted to make sure that I was there in time for what I was supposed to be doing. But they got 2 wins. It was fun to be out there. But the travel was. I'm hoping that I get to Maryland on a little bit of a smoother timeline.
They made it worth your while. 2 victories out west in the Northwest. Iowa taking care of business against Northwestern. They got Maryland next. If you need your Hawkeye coverage, Tyler Tachman on social media is where it's at. Also, tell people where they can get the podcast that you and Chad are constantly doing, which is awesome, and all those kind of things. Give people a fill-in of how they can get. Everyone wants to talk about Hawks right now. It's a good thing, Tyler. How do they find out?
Yeah, we're at hawkcentral.com. Our podcast's also on Spotify, I know for sure. I guess social media outlets as well. So
Absolutely. Well, get some rest. Enjoy the trip to Maryland. And as always, I'll bug you again real soon. I always appreciate when I text these guys in the worst times, and I know it. I'm like, he's in the middle of a post game, and my dumb self is going to sit here and I'm like, don't answer this now. And he always answers. He's as good as it gets. Tyler, I appreciate you. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. That is Tyler Tachman joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Yeah, big weekend for Iowa, a big week ahead. And yeah, Iowa fans can start thinking like, all right, is it, and here's what I also get. I get the opposite where like they haven't beaten anybody, which I do think they're going, and they're not great, but going out west and beating Oregon and beating Washington's tough to do. Going to Indiana and winning is proven to be tough to do. But yes, the tougher part of the schedule is coming now. So we'll see how they do. And Bennett Sturts is something else. 36. And as Tyler said, efficient as efficient can be. And that's a big thing when it comes to Iowa basketball right now. So we will talk more Iowa basketball later in the week. We got Bear Cage on the horizon. We got Tom Kakert will be on here. Much more to get to. And also, we mentioned the podcast he does with Chad. I want to make Chad get on here again one of these days real soon as well and catch up with Chad Leistico, my good friend Chad Leistico as well. So coming up on today's show, it's Monday, and everybody has grown accustomed to the year plus that we've been doing this, that Mondays are Pat Angerer days. And that's the case. We will talk Super Bowl and God knows what else with our good friend Pat Angerer. It's next. You're watching OTA on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfathers is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. A lot of great things happened last week. We had a bunch of great shows. Views were up, all those kind of things. But I got complaints, and I was like, man, I'm working hard, good guests, all those kind of things. And the complaints were the lack of this man. Pat Anger is back here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Did you enjoy your week off? Did you enjoy your week off?
It was nice. It was nice. And there was nobody complaining. I will tell you that. There will be people complaining this week that I am on the show. So it's okay.
Right here, it says, where in the world was Pat Angerer? I miss him and I love him. Sincerely, Mary Angerer. I mean,
I was going to say, I thought that was Jennifer Randazzo.
All right. We'll talk about her in a second in a much different way. But how was your weekend, first and foremost, my friend?
It was fine. We had basketball Saturday and nothing really Sunday other than a couple events for the kids, and then obviously the Super Bowl thing yesterday. We should have today off. Like, just shut the country down today. What are we doing, man? Kids were struggling this morning. I felt bad for them.
The poll question. The poll question right now is: should the day after the Super Bowl be a national holiday? It should.
Or just have it the Super Bowl on Saturday.
No, see, I don't. But here's the thing, and this is how I think of this because I'm a dork. I used to love wrestling pay-per-views on Sundays, right? Remember back in the day, they always had everything on Sunday, and now for the most part, they moved everything to Saturday nights. And when they first did it, I'm like, I hate this. I'm busy on Saturdays. I got stuff to do on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now I like it. Now I'm used to it. So I don't think I'd like it, but I think I would get used to it.
Yeah. I just want you to be happy.
I think that's all that's important. I do want to talk about basketball and youth basketball in a second because I got a story to tell you. But I want to start with the Super Bowl. I guess we'll start with the game. I won a lot of money because I had a lot of Seattle winning bets. Didn't you think the Seahawks were going to – that's kind of what I expected, right?
Yeah, I figured they were going to win. I think everybody kind of did. But it was weird is there was when was the first touchdown scored? Was it second half?
Third quarter. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Didn't think it was going to be like that. I thought Walker would be able to run all over him, which he did. But what I liked about the game is it was two teams very disciplined, very good defensively. It was a competitive game. And I enjoyed it. I think a lot of people, probably didn't because it wasn't this high flying, scoring, a lot of touchdowns game and all that stuff. But it was two good teams, very similarly skilled, very well disciplined. They both play extremely hard. Two quarterbacks that haven't really proved themselves yet, and solid O-line, solid run games. I enjoyed the game. I really did. I thought it was a good competitive Super Bowl.
Shocking that the former middle linebacker liked the defensive battle. That's not a surprise at all.
Yeah,
how about Sam Darnold? That's pretty cool. Like, that guy was written off a million times. I know he had a great – and then last year he wins 14 games, and that still wasn't good enough in Minnesota. I kind of feel great for that guy this morning.
Oh yeah, super happy for him. I love that. I love the fact that – people are counting him out, and he comes in and Super Bowl winner. Probably had a losing record, I'm assuming, up until last year. Maybe probably still has a losing record total. Probably not after the two 14-win games. What is he like? Is he like the second guy or something to win 14? There's some stat 14 wins back to back that I saw on that Collinsworth dumbass was saying or something on TV, but. No, it was cool. It was really cool for him. I like when guys just keep going and don't listen to the noise and keep playing and have success, because everybody, at the end of the day, every single person that gets drafted really high is good. Everybody's good. And for him to go out there and show it is pretty cool.
I love the fact that he's the first quarterback from that draft class, and it was Baker Mayfield, but Josh Allen was in that class. Lamar Jackson was in that class. So it ends up being a really good class. He's the first guy with the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl commercials sucked? Yes? No? Did you even look at them?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of them I thought were funny. It's hard because it's like, you're at a party, Obviously I'm super cool, so I'm going to somebody's house. It's a party, and that's the time to get up and make yourself a cocktail. So I'd kind of get up and figure my life out after that. Maybe go grab some snacks. That was kind of my thing in the commercials.
Yeah, my thing too is, and I even said to my buddy last night, I was like, hey, I'll watch them tomorrow. If they were good, they're going to put them all over X, and like I'll see them tomorrow. I'm like you. I'm sitting here trying to gamble or whatever, eat, all those kind of things. Can we talk about the Super Bowl?
Why don't like the regular commercials, like just when it's not Super Bowl, why don't they make commercials and just pretend like, hey, I'm making this for the Super Bowl, so they make good commercials? I don't understand it. Why do they wait until the Super Bowl and pay a bunch of money to make commercials? Like, I don't know. Like, why don't you put a lot of effort into it, during the regular year? And maybe that's why don't you just play every game like it's a Super Bowl,
I know you're not talking about like the commercials here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, because the commercials produced and run here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo are next level good. So
those are Super Bowl worthy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we talk about the Super Bowl halftime show? Everybody is. I don't get political on the show or anything, but your thoughts on just the Super Bowl halftime show? I think it's a lot of talk for I don't understand why, but go ahead. Your thoughts.
I never get it. And I don't know what was political about it. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody is going to complain about the Super Bowl halftime either way. It seems like every year everyone's like, oh, that sucks. Well, guess what? You're not paying tickets for it. It's not like you paid a bunch of money to watch it. Like and I thought, I bet it was probably good if I would have been able to understand what he was saying. It looked like they were having a good time.
Yep.
It looked like they were having a freaking blast, and they put on a performance, and and maybe that's the whole point that they're trying to get across. I guess now that I kind of speak it out loud, maybe it's, you don't necessarily have to understand something for it to be beautiful. Looked like they were having a good time, and I don't know. I put no effort into thinking. Like I don't know. And I also too
put no effort into thinking. That is true.
I did just read a book that was really good. It was don't believe everything you think, and I shouldn't say read. I listened to it, but it was a really good book. Highly recommended. Highly recommend people to read that one. It's a really good one. But I'm always pro heel. I've always been pro heel. So like if
explain that so people know what you're talking about.
I always like the people in wrestling that everybody was complaining about. I always like the bad guys, big NWO guy. And, you get everybody, barking and anti this guy or whatever in his performance. And that kind of makes me root for him. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like, I don't know.
Here's my thoughts. Bad Bunny is the best wrestler to ever perform at halftime. He was in the Royal Rumble, but he was also at Backlash, and he down in Puerto Rico, and it was him and Priest and Damian Priest, and it was a great match. So I'm all for any wrestler that's performing at halftime, yourself included. If you ever perform at halftime, Pat, I'd be like, hell yeah, Pat's performing. That's awesome. I agree.
Nobody talks about Bad Bunny in Happy Gilmore 2. He was awesome.
Yeah, you're right.
He was awesome in Happy Gilmore 2. He was hilarious.
I agree. I couldn't sing along. I didn't know the words, obviously. But here's the thing.
I didn't know if it was like a different song. I never knew when they were switching to another song.
Well, but I'll be honest. Like, my nieces were at the house, and some of them were like yelling, "Oh, like different acts, like different," and like probably right now I'm not going to know the words to any song that's sung at the halftime, because I'm just an old guy that, like, unless, you know what, a few years ago, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, that was the best halftime show in the history of mankind. That was amazing.
I agree.
But I'm probably not going to sing along regardless, so it really didn't matter. You mentioned they were having a good time. I'll say this too. Everyone was like, it's America's game. Well, it's not really anymore. And that's fine. I know football here and everything, but the NFL is playing in Germany and in Mexico and Australia next year. They don't want to be just the United States. They want to be a global brand, and so they were a global brand. And while it may have turned some people off here in the United States, I thought it was a lot to do about nothing. It's whatever. I was busy eating and gambling anyways, so it's fine.
It's everything anymore. Everything is just so stupid.
Yeah, if we had more control over things, I think things would go a lot better. I think we talked about that.
I don't know, but I'd tell you what, I'd have a little bit more fun.
You have enough fun.
I still wouldn't change it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The whole noise surrounding the halftime show this year and every single year is just so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's well said. It's well said. Pat Anger joining us here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Monday in the Quad Cities. I got to tell you a story. I know you know a few weeks ago I got a technical in a 5th grade boys basketball game.
When you say it like that, it sounds even worse.
It sounds like I was playing too. It feels like I was part of like I was playing as a coach. I got another one on Saturday. Can I tell you about it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Pat,
I'm going to give these refs a raise.
That's 2 and 3 tournaments. Is it me?
Oh yeah. Well, no, like I don't know. Like if I didn't know you and you started, popping off, I'd be like, I hate this dude. I'm gonna try to give him a technical. So I don't blame the refs.
So like the first one was garbage. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I yelled travel and I got a technical foul. This one, like before, it's not a long story, but you know how every tournament's got different rules, whether it's pressing or zones. Which, by the way, in this tournament, 5th grade teams could play zone, and I think that's just awful because.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
The only way to
beat a zone, the zone, the man thing, it's stupid.
You can shoot over it, which we got a bunch of 5th graders who can't shoot, or you can pass over it, which you can't. Anyways, so I digress. So before the other referee, great guy. And there's rules on the scores table and he's reading them and I'm like, oh crap, I should read them too. Cause I hadn't read them. So we're like laughing and reading them together. And I'm like, I'm going to yell at you all game. I don't even know what the rules are. And he's same way. We're having a good old time. So this referee and his name, I know his name, because I found he's from South Beloit. And I guess nobody likes working with him. That's why he travels from South Beloit to other places. And he lectures our kids right before the game about not wearing the right color shirt underneath their jerseys, and eventually they'll get technical fouls if they don't comply to the IHSA rule. So he was already that guy. He was already annoying.
Dude, if you can just get your kid to the game with his basketball shoes on and his jersey, like that's a win as a parent.
Right.
Like, come on.
So second half, it's a good game, and I didn't see it, but like I heard the whistle blow. I thought there was a foul, and one of our kids came over a little emotional. I'm like, "Hey, relax, bud. It was just a foul." And he goes, "No, he gave me a technical." And I'm like, "He did?" I didn't see anything, so I call him over. I'm like, "Hey, just can you tell me what he did so I can, reprimand or make sure like he learns the lesson and all this stuff." Again, 5th grade basketball, he must have done something because if we're handing out technicals, like I hope it. And he's like, well, he slammed the ball. Well, what I found out is like he did a power dribble. You know what I mean? Like when you're in the post, Pat, and you do a power dribble, he did a power dribble. He didn't slam the ball high up in the air or anything, but he just did whatever. I said, I'm not arguing. He's very, very cranky. Don't tell me, Coach. I'm like, I'm not arguing. I'm just asking. I didn't see, not even upset. So they're getting ready to shoot the technical free throws. And the scores table was like, hey, after the first free throw, he's like, it's just an automatic 2 points. We don't shoot free throws. And I turned to like another assistant coach and like that referee. And I said, see, that's why we read the rules, like laughing. Boop. I got a technical because I was sarcastically telling him that he should have read the rules. So I was upset. I mean, so anyways, they got 4 free points. They won by 4. That doesn't matter. Like winning and losing, I don't care about. But he was just an awful, so I was like cranky about it. And I did find out another buddy of mine texted me. And he said this referee on that morning, because he was coaching another team, threw 3 kids out of the game, gave out 6+ technical fouls. And in the 6th grade game, there were 37 fouls. They were running an hour behind on that court alone. because of this guy when he left at noon. I
What is
love
going
referees.
on?
I love referees. I defend them on the show. Why do some guys have to be like, why do they have to be the show? Why do they have to like ruin youth basketball games? So that's my explanation. I'm going to get a bunch of crap. Is it me, Pat? Should I just chill out or what? Is it me? Be honest.
Or just have your kids wrestle. Then you won't have to worry about these wimpy basketball refs, you know?
It's
Just
so
have 'em
frustrating.
I mean, the thing is, there's a-holes in every profession, and it sounds like this guy is one. And it's, yeah.
I did, and then my last little tidbit on that, and he was great. So I go to another court, and this guy's like, "Hey, Matt, nice to see you." It was another referee, and he was kind of from our area. We were a little bit out of town. And I was like, "Hey, I'm like, good to see." I go, "Be nice to me, man." I'm like, "It's Super Bowl weekend. I already got a technical." He's like, "You did?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "By who?" And I pointed to him. He goes, "Oh, Larry gotcha." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "He's the worst," by all this stuff. So he was a great guy. I was asking him. He was refereeing 4 games. Then he was going to do a high school game. And then he was coming back and doing 2 more there. And I'm like, he's like, "I'm 63 years old." I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." And then I said, he's like, "You think that's," he's like, "Guess how old my partner is?" And I said, "How old?" Did I tell you this already?
Yeah, Jim's thing, but keep going.
He was 83 years old. The other referee was 83 years old. And
How'd
you
they
know
do
what?
getting up
What's
and
like,
down the court? They do
you know,
all right?
what are you, almost 40?
39, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
can't
people
run.
will be like, "Oh, Pat looks great. He doesn't look like he's 39. He looks like he's 25. You know, some people are like, "Oh, he doesn't
They
look
don't say
like."
that.
This guy looked like he was 83 years old. Like, it wasn't like, man, he's doing great for his age. He did fine, but you don't argue with the guy who's 83. And then I sit here and think that's why we need to get younger, more referees. But then I'm the jerk getting a technical foul, so I'm just confused this morning.
Well, I think you just have to become a ref.
I should.
Yep.
I don't think I'd give too many technicals. Would you, as a referee?
No, honestly, as a ref, I'm trying to get through this game as fast as possible because whether I give a technical or not, I get paid the same amount of money.
Right.
No matter how long this game goes or how short this game goes, I make the same amount of money.
No, absolutely. That would be my. How'd your kids do this weekend? Did they win?
No, it was just no, they didn't. No, Emmett's team lost their first game, then won the rest of them, and then Avery's team lost a heartbreaker, I think it was like a 17-4 heartbrear.
Oh,
It's tough, man.
Happen all the time. Hey, you mentioned Jim Albracht. We did see you and Dolph at his celebration of life. I wanted to bring that up today. Awesome event. So many familiar people that I hadn't seen in a long time or maybe never even met. And of course, Dolph stopped by. You were there for a little while. And I don't know if we talked a lot about it when he passed away. Jim was a great dude. And I love the fact that so many people came out for his celebration of life. What, a month later? Probably? Maybe longer than that?
Yeah, over a month later.
It just shows the impact that he had.
Yeah, Jim was just such a great guy, and he just kind of he did things his own way, and he also did things the right way. Like he was just happy. Like you're around him. He was just a really good, genuine, happy guy, and was very lucky that we got a chance to see him before one of the games, just kind of randomly. We were eating and having a couple cocktails, and he came through and was able to sit down and laugh with them just about stupid stuff. And yeah, the guy was just a great human being, and great father, great husband, and we definitely will all miss him. And anybody that knew him is lucky because he was as good as it gets.
I was gonna say something at the celebration of life, and I did, but I was listening to people talk much better than me, and they all had like really good text messages from Jim. Like they brought up the last text message he sent me or whatever. So I went through and I kind of did that before I went up there, and it just like randomly, I was up covering Iowa and Buffalo for the NCAA tournament. I get, "Hey man, your energy's awesome. You're killing it. Keep doing it. Go Hawks." Or before I did my first pregame show, he's like, "Your energy's amazing. You're going to kill it." So I just because I noticed it then, he said, and what you just talked about, he goes, "I had a great conversation with Pat last night. I like that guy's straightforwardness. So that's the last thing he texted me about you. And that's probably the conversation you were having, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure it's pretty straightforward with some crazy things that were spoken during that time. But it was a really enjoyable night, and it's just interesting. Like that, I don't know if I would have liked to know, what the end would have been during that conversation. It was just really nice to be around him, and it was just, Jim's a very enjoyable human, and I respect a guy that just, he's going to do things his own way, and he's going to live life the way he wants, and he was always super positive, and a lot of things that we can learn from Jim Albracht.
Yeah, well said. Before I let you get out of here for your Monday, Iowa, we'll talk a little stuff about Iowa, I guess we should. Jay Norvell is now part of the staff. I don't know if I think you've got to meet Jay. I think he was probably on your broadcast during the honorary captain, or maybe not. But I think we had him on the pregame show, and I wanted to run through a freaking brick wall when he got done just doing the interview there. To get a guy like that who's been a head coach at Nevada and at Colorado State, and just to get that back in the building, I think is just a huge plus for Iowa football.
Yeah, it is. And, I don't know him very well, but, kind of how I judge guys that used to play at Iowa, I talk to their teammates, and I've talked to many of his former teammates, and there is just nothing but positivity coming through when they talk about him. And you can tell, you can really tell the type of guy a person is by how his teammates talk about him. And, sometimes when you're like, hey, how's this guy? And they'll tell you straight up, you're like, oh gosh, but only positivity about Jay Norvell, and just having him in the complex, and having his leadership and his positive attitude, like it's great. And it's just, it's like when you never think like, man, this staff could get better. And then you bring in a guy like Jay, like, holy cow, like that is a huge addition. And I just look forward to the impact he's going to make on a lot of these kids' lives. It's going to be tremendous. And very, very lucky to have him at Iowa.
It's another Iowa guy in the building. It's crazy because you look in college football and everybody's looking to go different places and do different things. And Iowa guys either stay at Iowa or now with Coach Norvell come back to Iowa. That's not by mistake, is it?
It's the best place in the country. 100% best place in the country. And it's, it starts at the top, obviously, with Coach Ferentz. He runs a very great program. And also one of the things that, Coach Ferentz is going to bring in good kids that want to work, good kids that want to be held accountable. And, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? And, Jay knows that. He's seen that. He's been around the block, and having him back in there, I'm sure is probably going to, obviously, like we talked about, it's going to benefit the kids, but it's also going to benefit him as well, being around that program again.
Okay, before I let you go, I know the Iowa schedule came out like a week or so ago since we've last talked. I know you probably don't even remember it. Do you remember it coming out? Do you remember any takes from it? Did you say, oh wow, this is going to be a crazy this or that, or did you even care?
No, man. My focus is on week 1, Northern Illinois.
Just stop.
My focus is on week 1, Northern Illinois.
You're the Iowa football analyst for the entire world. They need to know what you think, and your focus is not on Northern Illinois?
I think we're going to kick the crap out of everybody, at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter. We can play a week 1, week 5, whatever. We can play over in Moline, over in Rock Island. We can play in the Quad Cities. We can play where the hell ever. We can play at the Super Bowl halftime show. I'm not afraid. We're going to kick your ass. I
love it. That's why I didn't have you on the next day. I had Tom and Tyler talking about the football schedule because it's always.
Well, it's just like it's the same thing as preseason rankings. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If they really want preseason, if they really want rankings to be fair, rank them like mid-season, right?
But
like,
it is interesting that Iowa starts the Big Ten at Michigan, then Ohio State at home, then at Washington. That seems to be difficult, right?
What an opportunity. What a great opportunity we have.
Oh, I'm sure that's what they're looking at. But you're a media guy now. That's what your job is.
I'm not a media guy.
You are the media guy in the state of Iowa. So that's what people want to hear is your thoughts. And whatever you say,
those are my
people
thoughts.
believe. But people believe now. Like whatever you say is gospel because you're media now. You know that.
I'm not media, and I'm not spreading fake news like you on your show and like you did at Channel 8 for many, many years.
25 to be exact. And then you got me fired. And then it's been all downhill since then. I can't believe that happened. Nobody knows, but I can't believe you called in. I can't believe they sent that email. Unbelievable. No, I'm kidding. It didn't. Nothing like that happened. Relax. Pat,
Sure.
enjoy. You look like you're ready to go to a spring baseball game for one of the boys.
No, I'm not ready to. I don't want baseball to start. People are talking about baseball. I just am not looking forward to it. Not looking forward to it. But at least hopefully that means the weather's going to be nice and we'll be outside and I'm going to have a good little sunglass tan line, which would be nice.
I get like same thing people were talking about this weekend. Baseball. I'm like, it's still basketball season. Like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get. And then my wife was like, hey, did you see the boys' schedule here or there? I'm like, no, I didn't look. I won't look at anything. I just one weekend at a time. If I look at that whole season schedule of baseball for my kids, I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
Hey, next time you come on, we're going to talk about the best tradition in the Quad Cities when it comes to golf, and it's not the John Deere Classic.
Ooh.
That's right.
Guy Randazzo golf outing. I can't wait.
It
It's
is
gonna be a
ready
good
to
one.
go. So, all right, go in and conquer the world, Patrick. Love you, pal.
Love you, buddy. Have a good day, man.
See you, pal. Pat Anger on Off There with Matt Randazzo every Monday-ish. When it's not football season, I feel like I don't want to bug him too much. He's so important and popular and all that kind of stuff. But we didn't talk to him last week, and I did. I got a few people over the weekend that was like, "Why didn't you have Pat on last week?" And so Pat was back with interesting. He's right when it comes to the halftime show. Whatever your political affiliation is, and I don't talk politics on the show, and I'm not going to. Like, it's the halftime show. It didn't harm you. It didn't hurt. Like, there's some that you're gonna love, and there's some that you're gonna hate. And just watch it. And then if there's another one you want to go watch that one. Whatever you want to do, just it's crazy. So, Pat, as always, the voice of reason here in life and on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We got a lot more to get to. We'll talk a little more Super Bowl. I want to talk about the Illini and their weekend that they had. And we're going to talk a little more about Roger Craig as well. Last week, Roger Craig was announced that he's officially going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. My good friend John Marx will stop by. A little Marxy Monday here on OTA. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. So much to talk about on a Monday, and it always is that way. But when you're doing a show on the Monday after the Super Bowl, you have a lot to get to. Plus, college basketball is great, and we have a new Hall of Famer heading to the Hall of Fame. John Marx joins me with a little Marxy Monday. Finally, I think it's John Marx Monday on the actual Monday, which always makes better sense when we do those. Hey, my friend, how are you?
Good morning, Pally. Thank you for having me.
Super Bowl, I kind of want to start a little bit with that. I want to get to Roger Craig. Uh-oh. You didn't love it?
John, Super Bowl. It was boring as hell.
Yeah, it was. But you're a defensive guy. Like, you didn't appreciate the defense. I thought, like, shocking Pat last segment loved it because of defense. You enjoy good defense. Or was it I ask you, was it good defense or was the offense part of the problem?
I think Josh McDaniels, is one of the greatest offensive minds in the game. When you're too young, and again, I'm a Will Campbell fan, and he got blown up a couple times. Why not go double? Again, make a couple adjustments with tight ends. You can fix all that situation and then protect your quarterback, or spread it out even more and go as we used to call it Amtrak. So I don't think they adjusted to and taking nothing away from Seattle's defense. They are elite. They beat him with a 4-man rush. They beat him playing zone, and Drake May was a count late throwing the football. So I just and my son loved it because the long snappers got plenty of work. So on 5 field goals and 100 punts. So again, it's just kind of boring football, and you want to see a shoot. I wanted to see another shootout like the Rams and the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, and that did not come to fruition. And I am the biggest Mike Vrabel fan out there, so that bothered me. Mike McDonald, phenomenal job. It is pretty cool, and I'm sure Pat talked about it, Matty, that when your head coach is the calls the defensive signals and you win a Super Bowl, everybody made a big deal about it. I think that's the best thing in the world is when your head coach is defensive minded. So conservative, and as the guy who took and told the world Sam Darnold was going to win a Super Bowl a couple years ago, I'm gloating like an old man fat cat today because everybody said he was done. I said as soon as he goes to Minnesota, well, I don't care if J.J. McCarthy was the hot draft pick, Sam Darnold is going to star.
Yeah, it's crazy that, and you look at that draft class, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and Sam Darnold. And that's good for him. And that's why the general manager in Minnesota got fired recently. One of the reasons is because they let that guy walk. And is he a superstar? Is he like going to give you all the fancy numbers and all that? But he's good enough. And it gives me solace knowing that this isn't a slight at Sam Darnold, but if Sam Darnold can win a Super Bowl, like Jared Goff can too. As a Lions fan, they're very similar. So like, I think Jared Goff is better, but you have to have things go your way. I'll say this, and I was telling somebody this last night. If you would have told me at the day after the Super Bowl last year that it was going to be the Seahawks and the Patriots, people thought you would be high, drunk, whatever you want to think about. And that's why they bring out the Super Bowl predictions for next year and like the odds. Like it's crazy because this league is such parity where it's a law of averages that like if you're really good, you're going to come down a little bit, strength of schedule, all those kind of things as well. It's almost like, Johnny, if you were to flip a coin 18 straight times, you would probably call it right one time, right?
Maybe.
My lovely wife.
Okay.
And she's an amazing human being.
She made that one call several years ago too, and never got that right.
Biting her ass still today. She's not happy about that still. It's hard. Like she was so confident, bless her heart. And she's like, because she was out of town last week. I'm like, hey, people want to know, and she's like, tails, 10,000%. Like she was putting extra zeros. So anybody wondering that's listening, my wife, since I started sports gambling and probably when I got married 18 years ago, she's always bet on the coin toss. She's never won the coin toss. It's hard. It's almost more impressive that because somebody brought up on social media, like it's just as impressive to lose them all than it is to win them all because it's 50-50, which is true. So I gave it out last week. I said, hey, tails, if you want a fader. I had random people texting me or social media at me. Hey, thank you, Mrs. Randazzo. Thank you, Mrs. Randazzo. Winner. Thank you, Mrs. Randazzo. So bless her heart, Johnny, she can't get it right. Her choice of heads and tails and her choice of men flawed.
Big time, and a great mother. And what people I don't know if everyone understands. She's a big time. She's an accountant by trade. She's amazing with numbers. I mean, she's kept you afloat all these years.
I don't know.
And to that, she's one. Her job is a high profile, really high profile that involves keeping budgets in order and making sure all the T's and I's and and dollar signs get where they're supposed to go. And the poor
She
lady
doesn't
can't
flip
get
any
the
coins.
bill.
She doesn't flip any coins in her. It's scum. And then somebody said to me on social media, like a lot of people were like, "Why don't you fade her?" And I'm like, I think the vows were in good times and bad, in sickness and in health, in hot streaks and in cold streaks. I think that's literally what we said. Till death do us part. So
yeah, but you're the cold streak already.
Yeah, you know what? I will say this: like, it was a good night gambling, despite Mrs. Randazzo. So, and again, like, and what am I complaining about? She can do what I'm gambling her most of her money probably anyways. So
every day,
like exactly.
The minute you turn on the microphone, you're gambling with her money.
This is so true. So bless her heart. She's
Me
next
too.
year, but now it's like I'm a law of averages type of guy. She's due for a hot streak, right?
Absolutely. Which means you're getting a divorce.
I was just gonna say, I hope she doesn't change everything. I'm in big time trouble.
Tell the boys they can come stay with Uncle Johnny.
Yeah, these first 18 years of marriage and flipping coins have been bad. So she changes everything. I'm in a lot of trouble. That's a great point.
Just remember, my wife will be her attorney for nothing.
I thought she'd be my attorney. No, let's not do this. I want to talk about Roger Craig. We talked last week a little bit. We kind of thought he'd get in. We hoped he'd get in. You saw the video that the NFL Network put up of Ronnie Lott coming to his door and him finding out.
Loved it.
And you just I get chills right now thinking about it. As a Quad City guy, excuse me, and we talked to Craig DeVries on Friday after he got in about it. As somebody who was in the media around at that time, knows Roger somewhat. It's just an awesome feeling knowing that guy's going to the Hall of Fame finally.
And I wish I had Artez's number to be able to sit on and tell him as much as the way we used to do in the old days with Burrich. Yes, A, phenomenal. B, I will always, every time I see Roger, tell him he's still not the best running back in the family. I thought Curtis was a superstar to be. Obviously, height-wise, he wasn't the prototypical NFL guy. Check out his numbers at Nebraska. Roger followed him there. Curtis Craig, to me, was as good a running back as there's ever been in the Quad Cities, and now his brother's a Hall of Famer. And the neat thing about it is, Matt, to Roger's detriment, he never campaigned. He never asked anybody, never did anything, never went above and beyond. He just took it all in stride and dealt with it, and always, which is typical of him, always took the high road. Now, let's take this a step further. All the years, no matter whether it was with the 49ers in the glory days, whether it was with the Raiders and the Vikings at the end of his career, Roger Craig always came back. Remember the casino had a Roger Craig Sports Bar when it first, and he was gracious enough to lend his name, and he'd come back for golf tournaments. And then he'd always sneak into town and do nice things for people when you didn't know. And then you'd hear about it. He's just a first-rate, always has been, a first-rate human being, a great athlete who obviously could have been a huge, he was a track star, but he was the prototypical guy who changed the NFL to what we know today for the running backs. And I love Bill Walsh and the West Coast quote marks around the offense, but he had to learn how to catch the football, or he had to know how to catch the football. He was so ahead of his time. Rush for 1,000 yards, catch the ball for 1,000 yards, and be that complimentary guy who can block and do 1,000. Thank God Tom Rathman was around, but he was elite, and it bothered me for a lot of years, Matt, that the NFL and the voting, whatever it might be, hierarchy, lost track of his greatness and his work, his body of work. And as far as wonderful, kind human beings who are great dudes, he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm sorry his statistics didn't back up certain things for X amount of years, but Matty, he was worthy. Finally, they got it right, and it was wonderful. Yeah, the cool thing was Ronnie Lott and was it Charles Haley? Whoever showed up at his door was cool as hell, and just it was neat to see a little playground out in his front yard too. So Roger Craig should have been a Hall of Famer 15, 20 years ago. It got righted. The wrong got righted now. All is good, and it will make. You know what? I may go to Canton just to see. We all told him back then when we were either whether it was you or Burrich or Tom or all the old guys. Hey, Roger, we're going to be there in Canton when you decide to when you get in. So, well worth it. Great dude. And again, I hope Curtis's people that remember getting run over by Curtis Craig enjoy it as well.
You mentioned Birdball. I get him on the show this week. It's been well too long since he's been on the show. I need to get him on, and a good reason to have
I miss
him on
him
as well.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, Roger Craig. I wanted we talked football and on the field kind of stuff with him. I'm a big proponent of, after doing this nonsense for 25 years ish around the area, that like when you're a Quad City guy and you make it big, and we've had our like ones that I covered when it comes to Chasing Randalls and Ethan Haps and all those kind of everybody. Like Pat was a great example. Pat's a Bettendorf guy, and everybody on both sides loved him. I mean, and I think maybe, and I don't know enough, maybe Don Nelson too, but like Roger was that first, and maybe not first, but that first for me, that it was like Roger Craig. I knew he went to Central, but I didn't think of him as like a Davenport Central or a Davenport native. I know he's from Davenport. I get that. But he represented the Quad Cities. Can you speak to that? Because that's what it is like today. And I think it's a great example with Roger that he either played for Central and you were on his team and you went to his school, or he probably came to your school and kicked the crap out of you. And then you ended up rooting for him his entire career. Can you talk to the Quad City aspect of it? We have a Hall of Famer from the Quad Cities. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And to just, you mentioned Don Nelson, who didn't come back a lot, but was gracious. He was the Riley family in Rock Island who played a huge part in his life. He was gracious to them. Gene Oliver is another example of a guy that he came back here to live, who played in the big leagues for 10 years and was gracious to everybody and did, if you needed something, Gene was that guy all the time. Dean Stone was a big league pitcher. Jeff Schneider, big league pitcher, came back. Mike Butcher is by far, and I know he's living in Arizona, but when he would come back all the time if you needed something. I can remember the semi-pro baseball team I played for. Butch came back to a party and in the Quad Cities and wrote us a check that helped fund our season. He came back to speak to a World Series party that the River Band is through. And those are guys, Matt, that never, ever, ever forget where they come from. And you mentioned Chase and Randall as a prime example. Yeah, they came home and they still do things, and they don't look for you and I to broadcast it. That's the neat thing about it. Butcher, who runs his own pizza truck in Arizona, who doesn't need the money to do it but loves working, will come home, sneak into Frank's Pizza, do something for family, and then fly back to Arizona. He even sent his son Bede to Iowa. So again, there are numerous people like that, Matt, that have had successes in the Quad Cities that never boasted about it, that come back. But the Craigs were certainly that. I'll use Butcher. I'm using baseball examples. Chasen might be the perfect example on the basketball side. And, of course, Pat, who, you know what, you can walk into his office. You can go see Pat every day. And he's never been – and you know that. Remember the day he got drafted, you were running over there. And he might have I can remember you telling me the story. He might have had to take three or four takes in your first take because he was dropping F-bombs, because he was excited about the fact that he was going to the NFL, and it kind of caught him off guard that he went in the second round.
Oh, I remember calling him and I was like, "Hey," he answered and he went, "Dude, what the bleep?" And I'm like, "Dude," and he goes, "Get the bleep over here, get the bleep over here." And I was like, "Oh, we're on our way." And like he was genuinely, yeah, he's Pat is Pat.
And you mentioned that, and you talked about people that, and there's a modicum, and don't laugh here. There's a modicum of celebrity to what you and I have done all these years. What I did, what you did, what you do now, what we all do. And Jim Albracht and Tom Cornelis and guys like that who would have to never charge anybody to go speak at their luncheon, do anything like that, host banquets like you do now, like I used to do then. Those are the guys, and because you and I talked about Albracht's celebration over the weekend of his passing, that they never took it too serious and carried themselves above. It's like Paula, it's like Dwyer Michaels, guys like that. No one ever, Burch, always the every man at every turn. And I think it's something, Maddie, about the Quad Cities that is special, that people don't act that way. And even on the biggest stage, the Hall of Fames, when it comes to guys like Roger. And here's the other thing. We claim Kenny Anderson. He's from Batavia, Illinois. We claim Kenny Anderson as much as Batavia does, because he came here, he comes back, gave Augustana, helped them build the Ken Anderson athletic facility over there. Yeah. Phenomenal guy. His best friend is still Dave Markward, who was his receiver, who was the principal and superintendent locally. Come on, man. We're lucky to have people like that.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up like Ken Anderson. It's the same thing with Alex Tanney. Like Alex Tanney's not from here; he's from Lexington, Illinois. But he came to Monmouth College. He married a Quad City girl.
Gillen.
Yeah, and
a Monmouth girl.
It's the same type of thing, when it comes to those kind of things as well. No, that's a great point. You brought up Jim Albracht and going from a Hall of Famer to another legend. There was the celebration of life this weekend, and to see the amount of people, Johnny, and it was like 6 weeks after the fact. Don't date me on that, but it's been, usually like, and to hear the stories and to see the people and those kind of things. I got up and spoke, and I felt like I wasn't qualified to say anything because of the people that were talking about Jim. Another guy, we talked about it with Pat briefly, but when we talked when he passed away, Quad City through and through, and a guy that just loved life, which is the beautiful thing.
That did you ever encounter him, Maddie, when he wasn't, hey Maddie, or Johnny Marx?
Johnny, I told the story at the celebration of life, and I don't know if you even remember this. In 2005, I went out to spring training. It was 2005, 2004, something like that, and I was kind of going for WQAD, but I really wasn't. I was kind of going with some college buddies as well. My friend Adam Stroop lived out there, and Albracht just randomly called me. He's like, hey, I heard you going to spring training. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'd love to have you on in the mornings on Albracht in the AM. I'm like, this is awesome. We're doing Albracht in the AM. I listened to this. My dad, like, absolutely. I'd love to help. And I did a couple times. And then the last day that I was there, I was overserved the night before, and I overslept.
Blame that bartender.
Yeah, of course. And I missed it. And I'm like, I was mortified. And I called him, and I'm like, oh, and remember, and this is no slight at Dan Birch, but I come from the Birball school of like, hey, if you messed up, I'm going to tell you messed up. And I'm like, and Jim's like, dude, don't worry about it, man. It's all good. Did you have a good time? Like, he didn't care. Good. He was like, it's fine. We made it work. It's live radio. We're fine. And I'm just like, and that was Jim. Like, that sums up Jim. Most, I don't say most, but some professionals would have been like, you messed this part up and that part up, and my show was all. He didn't care. He was like, it's cool. It's live radio. We're good. That's the type of Jim Albracht. He's just always loving life, and nothing was too serious or negative, if that makes any sense.
I told you, and if he wouldn't have been on the air that morning, it would have been me subbing for him. That's how gracious and wonderful he was to me, Matty. Yeah. He every time he wasn't on, I got to do it. I'm forever in his debt. And I told you, 45 years ago, he got me my start in radio. We did a call-in show to his weekly sports talk show on WQUA, and called the Cardinal Core. We answered questions. We were in a bar basement, but he learned and never forgot when he was doing some stuff for the Illinois High School Broadcast Association. Yep. And one of his broadcast partners, and I'm not throwing names out, wasn't keeping up his end of the bargain, and they were at this close. And he goes, dude, it's your gig if you want it, and that's him. and finally they found a way to get things in order, and I never got to do that. But every time there was something available, I got a phone call from Jim Albracht saying, "Hey, you should do this, and we want you to do this." And I was grateful. He opened 1,000 doors. I know.
So we have Jim Albracht to blame for John Marx. Let's
Absolutely.
not speak ill of the dead. Come on.
I know.
Don't be
I agree, Matty, but I owe him
Yeah.
so much.
Me, and a lot of other people, Johnny. You know what I mean? You, me, and that's the cool part about Jim Albracht. I want to talk a little Illinois with you before I let you go, because we haven't talked about them on the show, and I get in trouble. We'll have some Illinois guys on tomorrow, either Jim Matson or Kat Prince, somebody. We'll talk Illinois. They lost their first game this past weekend. They lost a game for the first time since December. It's February 9th, and they hadn't lost a game since December. They went to the Breslin Center. I said last week. Yeah, I said last week, I'm like, Illinois is probably going to lose. I felt like it was that game they were going to lose. I got a lot of pushback of like, you hate Illinois, you're an Iowa guy. And it wasn't that. I think Illinois is really good. I think they can do a lot of great things. It was time. Like, they were due to lose that place. And guess what? The referees weren't great, but that's not to be expected when you're in East Lansing. Your thoughts on Illinois losing? I don't think it's the end of the world by any stretch. And heck, they held Wagler to, barely anything, and they took him to overtime.
So, okay, you mentioned, and he's my favorite college basketball coach, Tom Izzo. So, first of all, it was 7-0 before you start, because you're at the Breslin Center, and Tom Izzo is the other coach. It's like going to Quincy in high school basketball all those years. It was a minimum of 10-0 or whatever before the Devil got the pitchfork out. Whoever was officiating the game. Yeah. And that's just something we all joke about. Yeah, it was a time. You never want to lose. But, yes, it was the perfect time. It was on the road against an elite basketball team. Matty, they are dominant when they have to be in the post. They are dominant when they have to be from the wing. They can shoot it. They have begun, and in earnest, I want to say, to defend the perimeter, defend the post. Give Illinois some credit. Matty, I know you and I joked maybe elite. I think they're a Final Four team. They are really, really good. And if I know I'm going to get in trouble here. If something doesn't, and if money doesn't get in the way of I'm getting 1 point this and you're only getting 1 point this to play basketball, and this is going on in a couple other places in the country right now where there are financial disputes over what our guys are being paid and divisive locker rooms. If that doesn't happen in Champaign, Matty, they are going to be a Final Four team. And again, Iowa gets they're awful close to getting to the tournament where they're almost a lock. So it'll be good for everybody. But hey, they're elite. That is an elite basketball team. I don't want to say program, but the ball will be in the post. They know what to do with it. They shoot it. We know that. And even when the young phenom has a bad day, they take Michigan State to overtime. And I think they win the Big Ten tournament. And that remains to be seen. You know what that's like. You've covered it. It's a 4.5 day binge-a-thon to make sure you got to win 3 basketball, sometimes 4 games. And I think they can do it.
And I'm still not sure it's a good thing if you win the Big Ten tournament. I still am that thing of like, if you win a game or two and you're done on Saturday and you can get ready for the tournament that people care about, I still think that might not be the worst thing in the world. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, and they are, and they will be. But if they're playing for 1 seed, those kind of things, if you're playing to play in St. Louis and then get closer to Chicago and all those kind of things, like there's things to be said for obviously playing well in the Big Ten tournament. Last thing, real quick. One of our poll questions today is, and we take the rest of the Big Ten out because there's a lot of other players that'll be, who's got a better case to be Big Ten Player of the Year? Keaton Wagler, who's been amazing, or Bennett Sturtz, who's averaging like 30 a game right now in the last 5, and he scored 36 yesterday, and he's efficient, and he's dealing, and he's got an Iowa basketball team that won 17 games last year at 18 games already, wins already. Who's got a better case to be the Big Ten Player of the Year?
And that team in Iowa City defends. Yeah. Unlike the last, we won't get into that. Okay. Do me a favor, and I'll pose the question back to you. Take both players out of their respective lineups. Who survives more?
Yeah. Now, if it's an MVP award, Bennett Sturts is way more valuable. Yeah. Bennett Sturts is way more valuable because Illinois got better players around Keaton Wagler.
Right. Okay. Then Bennett Sturts right now is the best player in the Big Ten.
I think he's close. We talked about it with Tyler Tachman.
Again, and I'm not pro either way. It has nothing to do with the fact that I can go watch a basketball game in 46 minutes if I drive like my wife's an attorney, or I have to drive 2.5 or 2+ hours. So, and that has nothing to do with fandom. But I am a huge fan of Ben McCollum and Brad Underwood. So I believe Sturts is right now, it's got to be him.
It's John Marx at what's the email address? No, and they both have great cases for it. We'll talk. We talked with Tyler Tachman about it. Go to go to at Matt Randazzo on X, and weigh in.
Blast away.
Who's got the better? And give me your comment. Like weigh in. Who's got the better case to be Big Ten Player of the Year right now? Keaton Wagler. And like obviously Braden Smith, there's other people in the conference. Right, I'm just doing these two. Who's got the better case to be Player of the Year?
You're going to get yelled at a bunch today.
I think it's a good question. Well,
Absolutely,
I just found out. We started this interview with you suggesting my wife divorces me, so I figured we end it with more. You've been suggesting that for years
since your wedding.
You know when they say anyone here have any reason with these two? Like Johnny's
I almost did.
Johnny's like me.
I'm waving my arms in the back. Since my son was dancing on tables at your wedding.
She, bless her heart, she's been paying for it ever since. Johnny, I always enjoy it. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, pal.
Love you, pal.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
John Marx, plenty to talk about on Off the Air on a Monday, and the Roger Craig stuff is great. I do got to get Burball on. Wildman. I don't really call him Burball. Like the old school nickname for Dan Burch was Burball. I was more a Wildman because of K-Jock. And then he just made me call him Mr. Burrich for all those of you who know he did do that. So I'm planning my shows for the week while talking to other guests. It's the beauty of being your own producer. We got more to get to. You're watching OTA. It's Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, February 9th. It's a full week, I think. I think next Monday there's a holiday or something like that. My kids get out of school so much that, like, I think they have a half day on Friday and then they're off next Monday. And I'm like, go to school. Like, we just got done with Christmas break and we had a day off for cold and everything else. So anyways, it's been a fun Monday right here on OTA. We had Tyler Tachman on earlier, talking about the Iowa basketball team, winners of 6 straight. More victories right now, 18 than they had last season the entire year. Playing really good basketball. Bennett Sturts has been amazing, which leads me to my poll question that's up right now on @Matt Randazzo. Who's got a better case as of February 9th to win the Big Ten Player of the Year? Illinois' Keaton Wagler or Iowa's Bennett Sturts? Leave your reasons below. Right now, Bennett Sturts 73% of the vote and Keaton Wagler 26. A few opinions, of course. You knew Ked would chime in. He said Keaton Bennett might be all Big Ten, but he's not. Keaton was his answer. Bennett might be all Big Ten, but he's not going to win Big Ten Player of the Year. That's not going to happen. He's 5th or 6th at best in the voting right now. I said it doesn't need to be outright just right now. Keaton has a shot to win. And that's what Ked said, and I completely agree. We'll talk with Ked this week sometime. But it's interesting if you look at, and stats are just stats, Bennett leads in scoring, assists, and efficiency, Wagler in rebounding. It's a slight edge to Bennett Sturts right now, but it's a close race. I just think it's a fun question, and I love Iowa versus Illinois stuff. And Iowa's stretch coming up is going to be difficult. So let's see what it's like there. Tyler Tachman brought up a good point. His numbers have grown. His efficiency has grown since last year at Drake, which is crazy because that was the concern. Could he do it night in and night out at the Big Ten level? He's obviously shown he can do that as well. And Keaton Wagler is having a fantastic year, and people are probably looking at me going, you're being a homer because Wagler had a bad game for the first time in forever on Saturday, and now you're bringing this up. It's not because of that. I think he's been outstanding. I've been the guy that said he's possibly a Big Ten Player of the Year candidate. I've been doing that for a couple weeks now. So we will see. Good stuff. Go to @Matt Randazzo on X and chime in and let us know what you think about that as well. We also talked to Pat Anger. We talked about the halftime show at the Super Bowl, and really I agree with Pat. Who cares? Like, enjoy a show. It's the halftime show. If you like it, cool. If you don't, cool. All of those kind of things as well. We also talked with John Marx, kind of talk a little more about Roger Craig being heading to the Hall of Fame and how cool that is. We talked with Jim Albracht with both of those guys. We did a celebration of life for Jim over the weekend. So a lot of good stuff on the show. Make sure if you missed it, go check it out. And coming up tomorrow, we're going to try to figure out a way to scratch the Illini itch, if that makes any sense. Whether we're talking Illini with Ken Prince or Jim Matz in some way, shape, or form, we'll do a little Illini talk as well. We're going to have Dan Burch on the show coming up this week sometime as well. The Central DeWitt girls clinched the MAC. Ava Putnam became a 1,000-point scorer. We'll talk with them sometime this week as well. High school basketball is heating up on both sides of the river. It's getting to that postseason time. I know in our house, the regular season has 2 weeks left, and then it's postseason time. So we'll continue to check in on the high school level as well this week right here on OTA. So thank you guys so much for joining us for a Monday edition of the show. We'll be back to do it all over again coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on X, on YouTube, or wherever you're watching this little show of ours. We'll see you guys tomorrow.